first question. What does Becky think about spending her double nickel birthday in the South, the only place it's celebrated? You know? 55, positive change, spiritual growth, and freedom.
Wow, that's beautiful. I didn't know about the double 50, the double 5, 55 being the double nickel, but that's really cool. I think it's a really special place to celebrate my 55th birthday. And Ramon, please read out what that stands for again, the number.
Yes. Number 55 is positive change, spiritual growth, and freedom.
Wow. Great values to have, as Grandmother Laura said.
Sorry, I have to sit down and people behind me can't see me.
Okay, next question for the panel.
Yes. What is your way of connecting to your divine self and avoid interference from false beings of light or the ego?
Okay, I can go first with that before I hand it around. For me, it's about, I think I feel most comfortable in nature, and it's about just knowing how I feel and what feels right and what doesn't feel right. Many have asked, if you ask a question like 3 times, if it's not the truth, then it can't hold up the lie. So if you get the same answer 3 times, then it's the truth. But in terms of just connecting with my higher self and, God, Creator, universe, I love being out in nature. Any opportunity to. And reading the signs from nature as well. I read nature signs.
For me, as most of you know that have come to any of my stuff, every single morning I only want what's in full alignment with my divine self. And I have found that is protection and also brings to me what's in my highest and best and what assists me as I move forward on my path. Some people don't like it. Okay. Do I need to repeat it?
Yes. I could hear you clearly, but no one else could.
Okay. Every morning, I state my intention. I only want what's in full alignment with my divine self for my highest and best. And that gives me protection. I know it, I feel it. And it also starts drawing to me those things that support and assist me in my wholeness and in my divine expression.
Okay, so I have to follow Sue, thanks. Okay, so I do go to most of Sue's stuff, so I do that connection as well. But like Becky, I feel the most connected when I'm in nature. But also I think many of us get very busy throughout the day, and so what I have found is, like, I can tell when I'm feeling a little anxious isn't the right word, but whatever it is, and I'll stop and pause and either do some breathing or step outside for a few minutes or go pet my dog or simply connect with my heart. And I found that those little things, even if they only take 3 to 5 minutes, they make such a huge difference, and so I try to do that throughout the day.
I concur with all of the above. The moment of interference was what I tuned into. That really, there's many of you wanting to know that question, the answer to that question. I suspect you all can connect very well. You're all here, you showed up. So there's a bandwidth upon which you all have felt the call and come in. So I half suspect that you are all divinely connected when you tune in. I also heard the second part of that question. How do you tune in and not have interference? I think it's a really good question. And what I teach is, you've heard me speak about the pillar of light. to use your breath work to connect in a pillar of light, as we call it, to connect in a way in which you are straight through to the divine, whatever you call the divine. It's not someone masquerading in the astral plane. And this is the important part, is if you can connect with your divine light through your God, the grandmothers, whoever you work with, and Mother Earth. That pillar is a protection. Nothing can enter, much like what Becky was saying. You know, you check in 3 times, do you love me unconditionally? If you think there's something there. They just can't stay there. The vibration of you declaring your sovereignty with that question mean they just cannot stay. It's a spiritual law. And it's a spiritual law of free will and a spiritual law of no interference. So I hope that answers the question from the interference side of it. Keep yourself in a pillar of light. Thank you.
Thank you all. Wonderful answers. Here's another question. And I'm going to expand it a little bit because the way it was written is interesting, but there's more to it. It says, when someone from an older generation in a family passes away, does that help the living members clear some trauma? And could it also help to heal generational trauma? Does it help to let it go? I add to that anyone in the family, not just older generations. So,
Thank you.
I don't know if we'll all have the same answer on this one. When you choose the family to be born into, you've agreed to take on the patterning in that family. And so just them passing away is not going to clear that agreement. I've seen people carry it through lifetimes. And yet, if you, like in homeless alignment, we will go through, and in the MAP journey, into generational patterning so you can break that agreement, and then you invite all your ancestors to do that for themselves. You can't break it for them, but you can break it for you. When you break it for you, it doesn't pass through to your children the same.
Thank you very much, Sue. I mean, I was going to say that just because when someone passes, it doesn't mean automatically that that act will clear generational trauma. Not at all. It often creates a lot more because we all miss our loved ones when they pass. But I think that many people find their spirituality when they lose a loved one. That's one of the triggers that creates an opening of awareness, because when our loved ones pass and they know that we miss them, they do their best to try and get in touch with us and just let us know that they're okay. So there's 2 elements to this as far as I see. One is the genetic and generational aspect, and I think that that's not necessarily affected when someone's passed. In my understanding, we have to do our own work with our DNA and working with the ancestors to travel back through that. That was something I learned with my shamanic course, traveling back through one's DNA to try and heal generational trauma. But another one is the soul connection. You know, when someone becomes in spirit again, they often want to connect with what loved ones they've left behind who are still incarnated, and just want to let them know that they're okay. And sometimes, you know, we can pick up on this. Sometimes people don't, and sometimes they do. And when someone can really feel that, or gets a message that means something to them, then that creates a lot of comfort and opens the person's awareness to recognise that there is life beyond death, and that we do still keep in touch with our loved ones from beyond the grave.
Okay, I'm going to carry on with that same topic that Becky was talking about, because my mom, who I was extremely close to and connected with, passed a year ago. And since she's passed, I have asked her to help me to be able to connect and hear and be able to, understand her messages. And it's a work in progress, but there have been a handful of times where I try not to second guess myself, but there have been a handful of times where messages have come through that have been so, like words that she used or what she's telling me, it sounds so much like her that it can't be mistaken. And one of the nicest things that's happened to me this year, on my birthday in June, I woke up and heard my mom's voice saying, "Good morning, sweetheart, happy birthday." And that was really, really beautiful and touching. So I know I'll continue to work with her, and that, we all have a divine timing, the purpose for us to be here at a particular time and to be on the other side at a particular time. And I think we do continue to work together. And as far as us healing ancestral lines, my personal perspective is that every single one of us is here right now at this time for a particular reason, and that's part of what we're all doing here. And like when I try to ask my guides, well, how do I do this? What do I need to do? It's like, I don't think we have to do anything. I think we're here, and it's our light and our grounding and our presence that's helping to do that.
Of course, I'm going to have a different answer.
Take your pick.
Take your pick. Well, I concur with all of that. That's very real experiences and wisdom here up on the stage. But I'm going to share with you the native wisdom around this. We don't call those who've departed, we don't call their name. If you've got the name of that person, you've got to change your name for at least a year. And the reason for that is that we don't want to call their spirit back to be with us. We want them to go home to the dreaming, back to the dream time, back to their original home. So we have a practice when someone passes over that we don't speak their name. We might refer to them as an uncle with their last name. We don't use their first name. Or we might call them in my culture, Kumaji. So if someone's passed over, we call them Kumaji. And we may use the last name. But it's a practice that we understand how we regard spirit travelling in the dreaming, back to home, back to the dream time. So that's one thing. The other thing I wanted to add is we have cellular memory. The people who are working on the healing of the trauma of my people throughout the continent of Australia are working on clearing the cellular memory. So ancestrally, particularly when it comes to trauma, as my people would have, as the native people here would have, this is something we share, where my people were massacred, let alone having the baby stolen and a whole lot of things. I don't want to put a dampener here, because there is a good story to come. But the reality is that trauma does carry through your bloodline at the cellular level. And so the real fantastic healing work that's taking place now is to heal at the cellular level. All of us can do that, no matter what our ancestry is. And that is the true work of some amazing people. And I do want to leave with a funny story though. When my dad passed, and those who bought the book, you'll have a read about it. This isn't in the book, but it's part of his passing. When he passed, he did come to me and he said, "Can you get your sister to stop calling me back?" I'm like, oh. So I I contacted her and I said, look, Dad, you've got to let him go. And she said, yeah, he keeps coming in and pushing books off the bookshelf. And I said, look, he's getting distressed. He wants to go home, and you're hanging on to him. You're hanging on to the memory of him, because she was really more upset than I suppose. I'm a bit more pragmatic. And so I had to keep working on it, and he kept throwing books off the bookshelf. And to the point that finally, and this is in the book, when we got to bury him, I actually got to dig the hole. I couldn't believe it. My father would be laughing at me and my brother-in-law digging the hole, because it's a small country grave we put him in. But when the ledger went down, after we buried him and had his funeral, my sister let him go, and he's never been back. I actually suspect he's out there building spaceships. That's the technical. So yeah, sometimes we do have to let them go, not call them back. That's the point I wanted to make. Native way, we understand that calling them back because they know us. If you're hurting or missing them, they don't want you to feel that way. But we can still connect with them without attaching our life and our journey to their spirit staying with us. We can call on them at any time, just as Sister here talked about it. But they will have their journey. They're just in another dimension. Nanga.
Thank you for those answers, beautiful answers. I'm going to make a curve, twist, something a little bit more 3D. What is your vision for education in the future, short term and long term?
That's a bland question.
Very specific, right?
Okay, so I'm not sure exactly if that question is intended for broadly or for CC, but I'll start out saying it. And back in my presentation, we did talk a little bit about our vision within CC, providing training for every single role in the organization, which will include additional spiritual training as well as the specific job skills type training. And then also for our members, we've talked extensively. We have started some things. There's a lot going on Mighty Networks. There is also CC Worldwide Voices. And then we occasionally bring in other courses. So we plan to do a lot more of that too. And Becky can expand on any of this. Then from a broader educational perspective, I think Becky can probably talk about that more than me, so I'm going to pass on here in a moment. But I will say, for those of you who have participated in the work that we did with Philip Catney, we did a lot of facilitation skills training, both with the coordinators and event hosts. And he talked pretty extensively about education and the need that we all have to kind of unlearn and to relearn and to learn how to learn. And a key part of that was being curious and asking questions. And so there's a lot of things out in the world today where, I'll say we, but I'm using the collective we. Most people in this room probably do a lot of your own research, but if you ever listen to the news, not many of us do anymore, but they'll tell you, here's all that you need to know, right? And it's all narrative. And so in the future, one of the things that we have to do is learn how to undo that kind of thinking and think about, okay, well, what do I think about this? How do I truly feel? And it's okay if how I feel and what I think is different than what your grandmother Laura thinks and feels, but we all have to learn how to think for ourselves and feel our own truth.
Wow. Wonderfully spoken, Chris. is wonderful. My bit to add would just be, if all of our children could learn the spiritual laws, there wouldn't be a problem. Everything would come under that. And one of the things I plan to do, it's already underway, is to, for our young people, is to have a school of wizardry. Spiritual mastery, school of wizardry.
Sounds wonderful. I'm loving these answers and, you know, really do concur a lot with what Chris said. One of the things that Simon says a lot is that, and we see it so, like all the time, you know, there are people who really follow everything they hear on the news and they share, and I had that, I better not say what it was about. I really had that experience on the plane and before I got on the plane, where I met a couple of sets of Americans who both thought that it's absolutely fine to really share and broadcast a certain political point of view. And when I just stopped and like looked at them, and then they really got, I think, that I didn't share their same political point of view. But I was really shocked that that point of view feel it's really okay to be very vocal about that and so derogatory about a certain person. And that's the programming. That is the programming because it's not the truth. And what we need to do, and as Chris and Grandmother Melara said, we need to teach the natural laws. We need to let children keep their curiosity and not shut it down, because it gets shut down bit by bit with the way that they have to learn. And as Chris said, it's so important to keep asking the questions, to keep your mind open. It's okay to have different points of view. It's fine to have different perspectives. We're all unique. We all are different aspects of the divine, and that's the beautiful part of us. We have our own filters. We have our own way of interpreting things and seeing things. And that's what I love in our organisation, is that when people share their perspectives and others are willing to listen to it, then they can keep their minds open. Sometimes other people's perspectives are challenging, like the ones I encountered. And you know, it's good to just sometimes keep your points of view to yourself. But I think education itself has to fundamentally change. I think that there are movements around the world that are working on this right now, and sorry, I'm just getting the whole sort of feeling and picture of it all. You know, it's taken root, the seeds are being planted, and the changes will happen. I think those of us that are awake and aware really know and feel what it's like to witness our loved ones be so close-minded about things, to not feel the truth about things, and to not, what it does is it shuts off the love, it shuts down the connection, it shuts down the ability to really discern for oneself and just feel love, feel the truth. So, and to really know as well that we can make a difference in the world. You know, because what it does is it puts up the fear, and it puts up the hopelessness, and it puts up the thoughts that, well, what can I do about that? But absolutely everybody can do something to help make the world a better place. And I think once we get to know that, then we really can make a difference, and education is key to that. So it was a great question. Over to Sue.
I love the question as well, and it is key because it's obvious that the whole world needs to be re-educated. free, putting it into jails, putting it into veterans, like throughout. The need to unravel the programming and clear the subconscious crap is huge. Once that's done, then the education can happen with all those of you that have that part to play. I'm just doing my part. And together, it would be an easier pathway for everyone. But if we don't try to clear that programming, we've got an uphill battle.
Apparently I'm first for the next one.
Thank you for your answers, and I have to say that they fill us with hope, what you just said.
There is definitely hope.
So, next question. How can I better hear my inner guidance and make it clear for me?
This is kind of linked to the first question, I think was, about being on your correct, like I called it, the pillar of light. When you are connecting through the organic realm to the highest and purest consciousness of all there is, that spark of creation, then you are in alignment. And that is what I think that question is about. How do I get myself into alignment? And I teach about the breath work, bringing in the breath, connecting to Mother Earth first, because that will ground you. Then you're connecting to your divine light. And in that process, I've forgotten the question.
You can be in alignment with yourself.
Oh, I think I just went in the pillar of light. We're getting hot here. We've got more than the pillar of light happening here on stage. So if you are in alignment, that's the thing. You can do it for 5 minutes, just connecting yourself to the earth, connecting yourself to your divine light, and to God, to the grandmothers, whoever you work with there, you know, it's going to be a high spiritual. If you are in alignment just through the breath, you can make that correction. I say to people, you can even do it driving, not driving, doing it, but at the stoplights, or you're waiting to pick up a child from school. Just connect and keep yourself in that alignment. The breath work is incredibly powerful.
From the rock. You know this, from the rock. What I would say is, give up your expectations of what you think clear communication is, because you set up for yourself before you came in what it's going to be like for you. So it's a matter of learning the language through which you will be communicated with. Some of you get chills, some of you get taps, some of you hear your mother saying happy birthday. Some of you are rocks, but you know. When I heard claircognizance, I'm like, oh my God, I do get communication. Up till then, I thought, you know. So finding your way, you guys get way more communication than you admit to.
From Tennessee to North Carolina, I guess about 5 or 6 hours in, because we had a slow part because of the hurricane last year and the floods and everything. But it was all a very interesting journey, very poignant, really special. But I was starting to feel like a bit under the weather in the sense of just very, very exhausted. And I said to Chris, have you got any vitamin C? Has anybody got any vitamin C? I feel like I need an immunity boost. Anyway, fast forward to the evening, and Paula says, I've made you some breakfasts, because we don't have breakfast where we are in the hotel. And she said, I've just packed in an immunity boost for everybody. And it literally says immunity boost. And I thought, I asked for an immunity boost, and I'm getting an immunity boost. I feel great now, by the way, absolutely perfect. So Just another little thing, you know.
Share it round. I just have one more thing to say, I've just got to drop in. The native Indian people speak about being a hollow bamboo. Those of you who have native blood may have heard of that. You've heard of that? Yeah. If you practice being a hollow bamboo while we're on these lands, that's about all I have to say. I just want to bring that in. Thank you.
And talking about spiritual skills, you just preemptively answered 3 other questions that I had.
We're tuning in.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, this one is about CC itself. Where do you see CC in 10 years? Connecting consciousness.
What about the world in 10 years?
Do you know, I can only answer that. I do have visions where I see our organisation in 10 years' time, but I think that we are guided by source, and I would like to leave that up to the guidance of the universe, because I know that we're doing God's work. I feel it really strongly. I know that we're working with the positive energies on Mother Earth, and that we will be going in the direction that we're meant to be going. I see everybody stepping up and becoming sovereign and empowered. So it's not just about Simon and me at all, or our volunteers. It's about everybody doing their bit, which means doing what it is that you feel you came here to do, whether it's just shining your light, because we all have that special something to share with the world. So I think it's about, I would love to have a bigger membership for sure. I'd love for our reach to be bigger. We are already worldwide in over 200 countries. It's phenomenal. Those of us here who are volunteers, especially, well, all volunteers actually, and we do the breakout rooms, and you get the chance to connect in small groups with people from around the world. You just get to see how truly special our organisation is. Many of our volunteers don't even speak English and have to just have translators, or just like an earpiece to translate, and they can't talk but they can listen. But a lot of our work is translated in so many different languages. So if the intention is there, if the will is there, then this will just become bigger and stronger so that more people can benefit. That's my hope. Of course, the projects. You ask Simon the question, you get a different answer for all about the projects. We're here to do good work, but in many different ways.
No, I would love to answer it. Yeah. I just have to get my train of thought back.
Okay, sorry.
I absolutely agree with allowing the universe to guide us, because from where we sit right now, even with what we know, we can't even imagine the magnitude and the momentousness and the gorgeous future that we're moving into. And so we come up with our visions from where we are, but we keep allowing it to be up-leveled to the next, how do we make it better? What's in the highest and best? Not for the individual, but for all of creation, for all of humanity. And so it is a matter of just sort of like surfing with the best vision you got until you get a better one.
CC is such a beautiful organization, and there's rarely a day that goes by that I don't talk to someone, whether it's a member or a volunteer, who shares their story about how they ended up with CC or what a difference it's made in their lives. And I would say the same thing personally. And each and every one of you are a part of this organization for a purpose. And so whether you're a member or a volunteer, we have all felt the energy, we have all felt the calling to come together, and we all know that we at CC, we're going to change the world together.
Maybe the only thing I could add was that, remember that when I mentioned the message stick this morning, so the Australian CC members who got together in lots of different meetups and put their blessings in that message stick, it was for all of you. It was for all of us. It was for CC collectively. And I think that intention of love and spirit that is all for good and optimism and hope and joy and happiness, they put in those blessings into that message stick, and it came around here. It's been to Texas, Arkansas, Tennessee, and now North Carolina, and will continue on to Florida. And so it's a symbol, I suppose, of the prayer that we hold for each other, because collectively there's nothing stopping us. And if each of us take our own healing, do our own work, do our own healing, heal our own human songline, then collectively we're creating new songlines for humanity. Aho Nanga.
So in other words, we in CC are not simple spectators of the change. We created change.
Yes.
That's right,
It's all about intent. So where do I see CC? Where do I see CC in 10 years? I see all of you creating it to be even better.
We have spoken, and these were some of the questions about the different types of spiritual skills and things like that. There's one interesting question. How will our physical bodies begin to change as Earth begins to rise higher in speed and in frequency? What changes can we expect in our physical bodies, not just our spiritual skills?
Okay, that is a fabulous question, and I'm going to say I have absolutely no idea. So before I pass the microphone on, I just want to share, because many of you are coordinators and event hosts, and you talk about these topics and get asked these questions. It is okay to not know, and it's okay to say, I don't know. And it's okay to, many years ago, Grandmother Millara gave us a quote, gifted to the group. And when I was a coordinator, even before I heard her say that, I always did that. I'd throw questions back out to the group. Because even if I knew something, like, it's not about me, it's about, we're all teachers and we're all students each and every day, and we all learn from each other and share, and none of us know everything. So I'm going to pass this on to somebody else who would like to answer.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I probably would have just said, next question, please. I think, it's God's design. It's the way that we are evolving and developing. The question is physically, very specifically, I just don't know. But we are a combination of physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual. And I know that we will evolve with all four together in more tune. I think our physical bodies are absolutely wonderful things. You can get all the senses. We can see, smell, touch, hear. Not all of us, some of us lose some of those senses, but we heal ourselves. We already have absolutely perfect and incredible bodies. So I just don't know. I will leave that one up to God.
Well, I'm not going to say that I know, but what I will do is share some of what I observe and learn guys are always showing me. Lots of you want your DNA returned to you, however many strands you think we have. What they always have me ask is that it's restored to what your divine self wants you to have now, because we're in transition and it's changing, and you don't want to ask for more strands and then not know how to deal with it. Like I've heard of people waking up with 6 strands of DNA and they have to go live in the middle of nowhere because they can't deal with things. So it's like a perfect, I was just asked for the perfect unfolding, perfect timing, whatever. The other thing, I know you guys like chakras. I tried to work with people's chakras about 3 times and they just said, stop it. I think our chakras are changing. What are they changing into? I don't know. I do know we are changing physically. But it will be provided in an easy and efficacious way. Are you sleeping more? Do you have ringing in your ears? Like, we tend to go, oh, something's wrong, or maybe this is part of us shifting into what we're becoming. Physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, my guys always want me to add energetic or etheric. Like there's another something that is going to become more and more important. I heard somebody say we had 12 cranial nerves, so we're meant to have 12 senses, and that they shut down 7 of them, and so we only have the 5, maybe a 6th. I suspect those might come back online, or maybe there's new ones. Like as we activate and move into the new, we may become telepathic. We may be able to teleport. Like there are skills and possibilities that we can't even dream of, you know, or we can dream of it, but we don't know. So that's where, if you stay clear, pillar of light, foundation of being, if you stay in that place of connection, you can surf through these changes with ease and grace.
I have somewhat of an answer for you. Only because every week I hold a ceremony circle of a meditation. And in this year, the grandmothers who come in and guide us as to what's going on have actually been preparing the people who I have been sitting in circle with for their light bodies. They're talking about changing, I mentioned earlier about cellular memory, changing at a molecular level, the cellular level, clearing out the debris that's been holding at a cellular level. That debris can be the food we eat, the water we drink, the soil that grows our plants. If we can clean that up, it'll help us clean up our molecular level so that we can allow more light to come in. So they have been providing transmissions on how to, one time it was the nervous system. They came in and cleaned up our nervous system. Another time it's the skeletal system. Another time it's the blood, at the blood level. So there's many things that make us up. But if we think about our physical body, which was the question, being connected to the physical body of Earth, what is happening with Earth and her expansion and her cleaning up is exactly what we need to do. So I would say to all of us, and I'm trying my best to learn always get it right, to think about consciously eating. What is it that I'm eating? Where does it come from? Blessing the food. To try and have less dense energy in my energy body to allow more light to come in, because we are moving to a light body. We can actually, a lot of us can see it in you, the light that's coming in. And that light, we're going to be more lighter, more light and less dense. There's even a school of thought talking about the crystalline energy or even the plasma energy coming into more and more of our, particularly our young ones who are coming in from whatever galaxies they're from, they're very different. And so and some of you are also from other places, you're not from here. You know, to help that integration, we let there be light. Let there be more light. And in that light is the coding. There's new coding coming in, because there's new light, new energy coming into the earth. In that coding are the frequencies of love and compassion and joy, all of what we ought to be naturally. Let there be light.
This is something that's very relevant for this section of the US, and the US as a whole, but especially the South. Can you please speak to the topic of ritual and ceremony? Many are disenfranchised from the old religions, the old cultures, with their rituals and formulas. Is there a place for ritual in our new world, and how can we come into the right relationship with ceremony?
Beautiful question.
It is a beautiful question, and it's not mine to answer.
Yeah, because I don't ritual and ceremony.
Let me be of service. Ritual and ceremony is extremely important, we would say. It is a sacred, we have a sacred duty to, I talked earlier about the sacred plants, and particularly the tobacco here on these lands, sprinkling tobacco in your fire, and the intention of honouring the ancestors that have gone before you. When we called in the Cherokee ancestors, I don't know, some of you saw them, they surrounded the building. Some heard the drums behind me, others saw White Buffalo Calf Woman. There was a lot going on, but they heard the call to ceremony, and they felt the sacredness of that call, the absolute authentic intention of coming to ritual and ceremony. So the ceremony is like the ritual. But if you bring more ceremony into your life, celebrate the passage of time for people that pass. Celebrate the new ones coming in. We have those rituals already, don't we? But if we put more sacredness into it, it's not about us being attached to that. It's about bringing your whole spiritual essence into that moment and blessing whatever is taking place. Blessing all of you. You'll know the difference when there's a true blessing happening. That is actually that's the sacredness of the ceremony. The message stick was thrown to bring you all together in sacred ceremony, and here you are. If you could bring more ritual around sacredness in your life, you're going to recognise that you are a sacred being, that the light within you is a divine light, and that you are connected to everyone here. None of you are separate. It's no coincidence that you're all in this room together and that we're with you. Just feel that, the importance of that moment, this moment. That you are all in ceremony together, even though we're not singing, dancing, we're laughing. And we're not crying, that's good. But we're having a joyous time. And I can feel you all uplifting. There's an uplift happening here. Hope. Hope for humanity. Hope for you and your family. Hope for your community. When we bring the sacredness into our life, anything is possible. So the importance is to bring in sacredness. And the ritual can just be a simple 5 minutes in the morning, a walk around your house, or touching a tree. I know that Chris here, one thing I know for a moment, Chris has a beautiful tree that she goes to. That's a sacred tree for her. It calls to her. I wonder what the tree that might call you, or the bird that might call you your name. Open yourself to more sacredness that's around you. It's everywhere. And that will guide you in terms of bringing in a practice that's a spiritual practice that helps keep you in alignment, that helps you feel that you can approach each day with a positive attitude. And that part of doing something on a regular basis, like a prayer, or having an altar, tobacco over the fire, that's ritual when you do it regularly. But as a sacred ceremony, you can bring ritual in that makes it even bigger and more potent. Thank you. Thank you for the question.
And yet, ritual and ceremony, as Grandma Malara said, it is sacred. It's celebrating the special moments, whether, with the people that you love. So that's why, our ancestors did. That's why tribes do it. That's why we're doing it. We're literally having a sacred ceremony right now. It is a gathering of people with a like intent to have a good time and and it be a specific meaning. So birthday parties, Christmas, or whatever celebrations you have, the things that families do that is special to them. It's about cementing relationships and having a specific meaning. Marriages, funerals or wakes, they're all our sacred ceremonies that are there for specific intent and certain reasons. So it's incredibly important for humans. Humans need our ritual and ceremony, which makes us feel bonded to others and to whatever we believe in. So thank you.
So I want to take this opportunity to thank the 4 beautiful women for this wonderful podcast and this Q&A. Sorry that I couldn't get all the questions, but find out opportunity to do so. Chris, if you want to wrap us up.
Oh, I was going to have Becky wrap us up, but I'll pass her in just a moment. I just want to thank you all for being here today and also for listening to our very first live Sacred Wisdom podcast. So very excited.
So you can see now how we all have our own take on everything. We all have our own thoughts on a particular topic. I always love the other ideas that everyone comes up with. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as we have. And I think we're going to do a bit more of a mix and mingle, aren't we, before final closing for today. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all.